In the crisp dawnlight of October 17th, a seasoned figure weaves through the dense pines of Colorado's rugged wilderness. It's his 100th trail, a milestone for anyone, but especially for this 67-year-old veteran hiker. Known to his online followers as Trailblazer Tom, he's a fixture in the vibrant hiking community. His social media post just days prior had announced, "Embarking on my last grand adventure. Join me in spirit as I conquer my 100th Colorado trail." Tom's life is a tapestry of resilience and exploration. A retired high school teacher, he found solace in nature after the passing of his wife. His days are filled with the challenge of the climb, the serenity of the summits, and the stories he shares with a growing online audience. For Tom, hiking is more than a hobby, it's a lifeline. As he sets off on that fateful morning, his usual excitement is tinged with a sense of finality. This trail, a remote and challenging path known as Ravens Peak, is notorious for its unyielding terrain and unpredictable weather. But Tom, ever the optimist, is undeterred. He leaves behind a well-worn map, a testament to his meticulous planning, and a cryptic note: "One last time into the wild." Hours pass, and Tom's friends and followers eagerly await his usual midday update. The silence grows louder with each passing minute. By dusk, concern morphs into alarm. Calls go unanswered, and the light-hearted jokes on social media turn into anxious inquiries. The following morning, Tom's daughter, Emily, makes the drive to the trailhead. Her father is a man of habit and punctuality, and his absence is a deviation she cannot ignore. As she arrives, a chill runs down her spine. Tom's car is parked as expected, but it stands alone, silent and foreboding. Desperation propels Emily to dial 911, her voice trembling as she reports her father missing. The dispatcher listens intently, the gravity of the situation sinking in. A veteran hiker, renowned for his skill and preparation, vanished without a trace. It's a scenario that defies logic and ignites fear. As search teams mobilize and the first light of dawn spills over the horizon, the mystery deepens. What could have happened to Trailblazer Tom on his final adventure? The mountains hold their secrets, but the world is waiting for answers. Emily's voice echoes in the silence of the early morning as she ends the call with the 911 dispatcher. Her heart pounds with a mixture of dread and hope as she stands at the trailhead, the cool mountain air biting her skin. She gazes up at the imposing peaks of Ravens Peak, each jagged edge a daunting reminder of the challenge her father willingly embraced. The search and rescue teams arrive swiftly, their presence a beacon of reassurance amidst the growing uncertainty. They gather around Emily, their expressions a mix of determination and empathy. She clutches the map her father left behind, its creases worn with the touch of his hands. It's a lifeline, a connection to a man who has always been so attuned to the wilderness. As the search commences, the teams fan out across the trail, calling Tom's name into the vast expanse. The forest absorbs their voices like a sponge, offering no reply. Time stretches as each moment without discovery deepens the mystery. Emily opts to join the search, feeling the pull of the terrain that her father loved so dearly. In the meantime, the online community buzzes with speculation. Tom's followers, a diverse group bonded by a shared love for the outdoors, are glued to their screens hoping for updates. They exchange theories, some suggesting a simple misstep, others fearing a more sinister fate. The hashtag #FindTrailblazerTom begins to trend, an online rallying cry for a man they admire from afar. Hours turn into a long, exhausting day. The sun begins its descent, casting long shadows across the mountainside. The search teams reconvene, their expressions somber. They report no signs of Tom, no footprints, no discarded gear, and no indication of where he might have veered off the trail. Emily's mind races with possibilities. Her father's note, "One last time, into the wild," plays on repeat in her thoughts. Was it a hint, a farewell, or simply the musings of an adventurer? The ambiguity gnaws at her, an unsolved riddle. As night falls, the decision is made to suspend the search until first light. Emily retreats to her father's car, exhaustion hanging heavy on her shoulders. She rests her head against the steering wheel, a silent prayer on her lips for her father's safety. But as the search teams pack up their gear, a searcher stumbles upon something. A small weather-beaten notebook partially hidden under a bush, its pages fluttering with the evening breeze. It's unmistakably Tom's, filled with sketches and notes from previous hikes. Yet this one contains something different. A page torn hastily, words scrawled in a rushed hand, hinting at a meeting with someone known only as the Wanderer. The discovery sends a shiver through the searcher, a new thread to follow in this tangled web. As this revelation spreads through the team, the question looms larger than ever. Who is the Wanderer? And what role did they play in Tom's disappearance? In the dim glow of dawn, the search resumes with renewed urgency. The discovery of Tom's notebook, particularly the reference to the Wanderer, adds a chilling layer to the mystery. The search team, now joined by local law enforcement, gathers near the trailhead, poring over maps and discussing strategies. The officers, led by Detective Sarah Mills, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for dogged persistence, are determined to leave no stone unturned. The first 48 hours are crucial, Sarah reminds her team, as they fan out across the rugged terrain. Time, she knows, is both an ally and a foe. In the nearby town, the news of Tom's disappearance ripples through the community. At the local diner, patrons whisper over steaming cups of coffee, their conversations punctuated by glances at the unfolding news on TV. Tom was a familiar face here, often stopping by for a hearty breakfast before setting off on his hikes. Now his absence casts a long shadow. Emily, meanwhile, takes a deep breath and steps up to a makeshift podium set up near the trailhead. Her voice, though steady, carries the weight of her worry as she addresses the gathered media. She pleads for anyone with information about the Wanderer to come forward, her words a beacon of hope and desperation. As the search intensifies, key witnesses begin to emerge. An elderly couple, avid birdwatchers, report seeing Tom at the trailhead the day he vanished. They recall a brief conversation with him about the weather and his plans to tackle the trail one last time. But it was what they saw next that piques the police's interest, a shadowy figure lingering at the edge of the parking lot, watching Tom with an unsettling intensity. Detective Mills follows up on the couple's account, but the description of the figure is frustratingly vague. A baseball cap pulled low, a nondescript jacket, details that blend into the backdrop of any trailhead. In the frenzy of activity, a critical mistake goes unnoticed. The initial search perimeter, based on assumptions of Tom's likely path, overlooks a narrow, lesser-known trail branching off into the deeper woods. It's a trail few know about, shrouded by dense foliage, its entrance easily missed. Back at the station, Emily sifts through her father's social media posts, searching for any mention of the Wanderer. She notices a pattern, comments from an anonymous user, cryptic and curious, often in response to Tom's plans for future hikes. She forwards her findings to Detective Mills, the potential lead too significant to ignore. As darkness falls once more, the weight of unspoken fears settles over the search team. The clock ticks relentlessly, the hours slipping away as hope battles against the encroaching doubt. And then, just as the team prepares to regroup for the night, a call crackles over the radio. A park ranger has found something, a campsite seemingly abandoned, with traces of a recent fire. Among the ashes, a charred fragment of paper, barely legible but enough to strike a chord of recognition. It's a map, and scrawled in the corner is a name that sends a ripple of urgency through the team. The Wanderer. The discovery reignites the team's determination, a flicker of hope in the encroaching darkness. As they prepare to delve deeper into the woods, one question looms larger than ever. Is Tom still out there somewhere, waiting to be found? The park ranger stands at the edge of the campsite, his flashlight beam darting across the remnants of the fire. The forest is eerily quiet, the air thick with the scent of charred wood and damp earth. Detective Mills arrives, urgency in his stride, and takes the map fragment from the ranger's outstretched hand. The name The Wanderer blurs slightly under the dim light, but its significance remains sharp, cutting through the fog of uncertainty that has clouded the investigation. The radio crackles to life again, a voice from the command post urging caution as the search grid is expanded. Mills knows the first 48 hours are crucial, each tick of the clock a reminder of time slipping away. Yet the initial search had been too narrow, based on assumptions of Tom's likely path, an oversight that now gnaws at the detective's resolve. Back at the station, Emily's face is a mask of worry as she talks with officers, her voice steady but edged with fear. Her father's disappearance has brought the family together in a way few events could, but the weight of the unknown presses heavily on them all. Tom's wife, Margaret, clutches a worn photograph of him, a snapshot from a happier time, his smile wide and eyes bright. She is determined to hold on to hope, but the uncertainty is a constant shadow. Witnesses are interviewed again, and the couple who saw the shadowy figure at the trailhead are brought in for a second round of questioning. As details are revisited, inconsistencies emerge, small things, easily overlooked but potentially significant. The figure's posture, the way he seemed to deliberate before stepping back into the woods. Each piece of information is a thread, promising to unravel the mystery if only they can grasp it firmly enough. Detective Mills pores over the map, noting the lesser-known trail that branches away from the main path. It's a gamble, but one they can't afford not to take. He organizes a search team to explore this new avenue, the hope that this might lead them to Tom burning brightly amidst the growing fatigue. Meanwhile, back at the station, Emily's discovery of the anonymous comments gains traction. The digital trail is faint, but leads to an IP address that Detective Mills hopes will offer new clues. Time is of the essence, and the tech team works furiously to trace the digital breadcrumbs. As the search team plunges deeper into the woods, guided by the faint promise of the map, a new question gnaws at Mills. What is the connection between Tom and the Wanderer? And could this mysterious figure be the key to unraveling the tangled threads of Tom's disappearance? The night deepens, the forest a cloak of shadows and secrets. Hope flickers in the hearts of those who search, tempered by the stark reality of the clock's relentless march. As dawn approaches, the campsite and the mysterious map linger in everyone's thoughts, promising answers yet to be found. But with each passing hour, the question looms ever larger. Will they find Tom in time, or is this trail leading them into darkness beyond their imagining? As dawn breaks over the mountain, the first rays of sunlight pierce through the dense canopy, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Detective Mills, weary but determined, stands with a team of searchers at the edge of the lesser-known trail. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine and the faintest hint of desperation. Mills knows the first 48 hours are critical. Every moment lost could mean losing Tom forever. Back at the station, the atmosphere is tense. Officers shuffle papers and radios crackle with updates from the field. Emily, Tom's daughter, paces anxiously, her eyes flicking towards the clock with each passing minute. She clings to a photo of her father, taken on his last birthday, his wide smile belying the mystery now engulfing them all. Her mind replays their last conversation, searching for any overlooked detail, any clue. Meanwhile, Detective Mills reviews the initial reports again, frustration simmering beneath his calm exterior. The couple who saw the shadowy figure had given conflicting accounts. Was it a man or a woman, tall or short? The inconsistencies nag at him, each discrepancy a potential misstep in those crucial early hours. Mills silently berates himself for not catching these details sooner. In the search area, the team fans out, calling Tom's name into the vast wilderness. They scan the ground for footprints, disturbed foliage, anything that might indicate someone had passed this way recently. The forest is an endless maze, each path a potential dead end. But Mills refuses to give in to despair. He knows that persistence is often the key to unraveling such mysteries. Back at the station, a breakthrough occurs. The tech team finally traces the IP address from the anonymous comments. It leads to a secluded cabin in the woods, owned by a local named Arthur Granger, known to some as a reclusive figure with a deep knowledge of the trails. A man who, until now, had remained outside the circle of suspicion. Emily, overhearing this revelation, is gripped by a surge of hope mixed with dread. Could this be the lead they've been waiting for? Or just another dead end? The officers exchange glances, the possibilities hanging heavy in the air. Mills immediately dispatches a unit to the cabin, the urgency of the situation palpable. As the searchers push forward, a call crackles over the radio. Her member of the team has found something, A torn piece of fabric caught on a branch, unmistakably part of a jacket. Tom's jacket. It's a small victory, but one that reignites the searchers' spirits. Mills orders them to focus their efforts in this area, the discovery a beacon amidst the uncertainty. Back at the station, the family gathers around Emily, their hope buoyed by the news. Yet a question lingers. What is the connection between Tom and Arthur Granger? And why did Tom choose this trail for his final adventure? Each moment is fraught with anticipation, the answers seeming just out of reach. Detective Mills feels the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He knows that time is slipping away, each second a reminder of the urgency of their mission. But in the quiet moments, he holds on to a simple truth. Every case has a tipping point, a moment when darkness gives way to light. They just need to find it. As the day unfolds, the search continues, the forest echoing with the calls and footsteps of those who refuse to give up. And in the heart of it all, Mills remains focused, driven by the hope that soon, very soon, they will find Tom and bring him home. The forest stands silent, save for the determined voices of searchers and the rustle of nature, as Detective Mills directs his team to fan out around the area where Tom's jacket piece was found. The air is thick with tension, each step a gamble against the dwindling daylight and the cold embrace of uncertainty. Back at the station, whispers begin to circulate, each more speculative than the last. Arthur Granger, the enigmatic figure now at the center of attention, becomes the subject of rampant conjecture. Stories of his past, his solitude, and his peculiar habits weave together a tapestry of suspicion. Some claim they've seen him wandering the trails at odd hours, while others insist he's harmless, just a man who prefers the company of trees to people. Emily, clutching a worn photograph of Tom, listens intently as the rumors swirl. Her mind races, caught between hope and skepticism, as she grapples with the growing narrative that Arthur might hold the key to her husband's disappearance. The community, once united in their search, begins to fracture as theories and doubts take root. Detective Mills, aware of the delicate balance at play, calls a meeting with his team. Around him, faces are etched with exhaustion and determination. They discuss the potential motives, the likelihood of Arthur's involvement, and the scant evidence linking him to Tom's disappearance. Mills cautions them against tunnel vision, reminding them of the importance of following every lead, no matter how tenuous. Yet the investigation begins to stall. Leads dry up, and the promising threads unravel before they can be fully grasped. The torn fabric, though promising, provides no definitive answers. Mills orders a forensic analysis, but the results are inconclusive, leaving more questions than answers. The forest, vast and unyielding, holds its secrets tightly. Days pass, and the media descends upon the small town, their presence a double-edged sword. Reporters probe for stories, often fanning the flames of speculation rather than shedding light on the truth. The pressure mounts on Mills and his team, the public hungry for resolution, yet the trail grows colder with each passing hour. Emily's resolve hardens. Determined not to let Tom's case slip into the annals of the unsolved, she reaches out to local hiking forums, hoping to unearth any overlooked details or sightings. Her plea is met with an outpouring of support, yet no new information surfaces. In the midst of this turmoil, a seasoned hiker steps forward with a bold claim. He recalls seeing Tom in the company of another man on the morning of his disappearance, not Arthur, but someone unfamiliar. This revelation sends a ripple through the investigation, challenging assumptions and reigniting the pursuit of truth. The community holds its breath, caught between hope and despair, as Mills and his team pivot, recalibrating their focus on this new lead. The path to uncovering Tom's fate is fraught with obstacles, but amidst the darkness, the faintest glimmer of hope persists. The answer lies somewhere between the whispers of the wind and the silent testimony of the trails. And as the sun sets on another day, the question remains, who was the man with Tom and what part did he play in the veteran hiker's final adventure? The revelation of an unknown companion with Tom on the day of his disappearance casts a new shadow on the investigation. The air feels charged with anticipation as Mills convenes his team once more, analyzing every detail of the seasoned hiker's account. Yet the description is frustratingly vague. A man of average height wearing a baseball cap, his face partially obscured, his demeanor unremarkable. This specter of a man becomes the focus of their efforts, a puzzle piece that refuses to fit. As hours bleed into days, the investigation hits a wall. Theories abound, each more speculative than the last. Was this mysterious figure a fellow hiker, a friend, or perhaps someone with darker intentions? Mills knows they can't afford to chase phantoms, but with no solid leads, they have little choice. In the absence of concrete evidence, the community becomes a hotbed of rumors. Whispers circulate about Tom's past, a quiet insinuation of secrets kept and debts unpaid. Some suggest he was involved in illegal activities, smuggling perhaps, or something even more nefarious. Others speculate that the man seen with Tom was an old enemy, come to settle a score. These theories, while colorful, only serve to muddy the waters further. Emily, steadfast and unwavering, finds herself at the center of this storm. She fields calls from concerned friends, reporters hungry for an exclusive, and strangers offering dubious tips. Her resolve remains unshaken, yet the weight of uncertainty bears heavily upon her. She clings to the hope that Tom's disappearance was a terrible misunderstanding, a solvable puzzle rather than a tragic ending. In a desperate bid to reignite the investigation, Mills releases a composite sketch of the unknown man to the media. The hope is that someone somewhere will recognize him. The town is plastered with flyers, the sketch a haunting reminder of the man who might hold the key to Tom's fate. The media, relentless in their pursuit of a story, latch onto the sketch with fervor. Headlines scream of the man in the cap, a moniker that only adds to the mystery. Yet as days turn into weeks, the sketch yields no breakthroughs. The man remains elusive, a ghost flitting in and out of the narrative, leaving nothing but questions in his wake. Frustration mounts among the investigators. Mills, a seasoned detective, is haunted by the specter of failure. He knows the clock is ticking, the trail growing colder with each passing day. Yet he cannot shake the feeling that they are missing something, a crucial detail hiding in plain sight. Meanwhile, Emily refuses to let despair take hold. She organizes community search efforts, rallies volunteers, and continues her own investigations online. Her determination is a beacon in the encroaching darkness, a reminder that hope still flickers, however dimly. But as the days stretch into weeks with no new leads, the chilling reality begins to settle in. The investigation is teetering on the brink of going cold, the vibrant tapestry of Tom's life unraveling into a series of disconnected threads. The question that lingers, unspoken yet ever present, will they find the truth before it fades into the shadows of the past? The investigation, once a flurry of activity and promise, now stalls in an uneasy silence. Detective Mills stands in his office, surrounded by walls papered with notes and photos, the faces of potential leads staring back at him with mute indifference. The composite sketch of the man in the cap dominates the center, its eyes an enigma that refuses to yield secrets. Mills sighs, feeling the burden of his profession pressing down like never before. In the small town of Pine Crest, whispers begin to circulate. Theories and speculation thrive in the absence of hard facts. At the local diner, the regulars gather, their conversations tinged with a mix of concern and intrigue. "Did you hear about that guy? The one with the cap?" one patron asks, leaning in conspiratorially. "They say he was seen near the trailhead the day Tom disappeared." Another nods, voice hushed. "And what about that drifter who passed through last month? The one camping out by the river?" Rumors weave a tangled web, ensnaring innocent bystanders in their grip. Mills and his team chase down each lead, but every inquiry ends in a frustrating dead end. The drifter, tracked to a neighboring town, provides a rock-solid alibi. He was miles away when Tom vanished. As for the man in the cap, no one seems to recall seeing him before or since that fateful day. Mills, ever methodical, knows they need a fresh perspective, something to shake loose the truth hiding beneath the surface. Yet with every passing day, the trail grows colder, the hope of resolution slipping further from reach. Emily, Tom's wife, watches helplessly as the case edges toward stagnation. Her heart aches with the weight of unanswered questions. Determined to remain proactive, She channels her energy into organizing a community meeting, inviting anyone with information to come forward in person, hoping that face-to-face encounters might spark a memory or revelation. The meeting, held in the town hall, draws a modest crowd. Emily stands at the podium, her voice steady but tinged with desperation. "We need your help," she implores. "Any detail, no matter how small, could be the key to bringing Tom home." An older man, a trail enthusiast like Tom, stands up. "I remember seeing a couple arguing near the trail entrance a few days before Tom disappeared. Maybe it was nothing, but they seemed pretty heated." The room buzzes with renewed interest. Mills takes note, marking it as another thread to pull, yet the skepticism remains, a shadow lurking in every corner. The town wants answers, but the more they search, the more elusive the truth becomes. As nights fall and the days blend into one another, Emily finds herself standing alone on their porch, staring into the vast Colorado sky. Each star a reminder of Tom's spirit, adventurous and boundless, yet now seemingly unreachable. Mills, back at the station, reviews the case files once more, convinced there is something he missed. The pressure mounts, and he knows time is slipping away. The investigation teeters on the precipice, a single revelation away from either breakthrough or oblivion. The question hangs in the air unanswered. Who is the man in the cap, and why does he haunt the fringes of this mystery like a phantom, always present, yet never truly seen? As if on cue, the phone rings, shattering the stillness of the night. Mills answers, his voice steady but hopeful. The caller, hesitant yet determined, claims to have seen the man in the cap again, far from Pine Crest, at a location that could lead them closer to the truth. The voice on the other end of the line trembles slightly, carrying the weight of years unspoken. "I saw him, Detective Mills. The man in the cap. It was at a remote trailhead up near Boulder. He was just there, like he was waiting for something." Mills listens intently, scribbling down the details. "Did you speak to him? Did he seem aware of being watched?" "No, I didn't dare approach. But he seemed different. Like he was expecting someone." The caller continues, the line crackling slightly with static. "I thought you should know." Mills thanks the caller, his mind racing. This sighting, though a faint thread, feels like a lifeline in the vast sea of uncertainty. Yet Mills knows all too well the delicate nature of hope in a case gone cold. He makes a note to follow up, to dig deeper, but the weight of years presses heavily on his shoulders. As the seasons change, Pinecrest settles back into its rhythm. The town's collective memory of Tom's disappearance slowly fading into the backdrop of daily life. Yet, for Emily, each day without Tom is a new wound. She moves through the motions, her heart tethered to the hope of a resolution that never seems to come. The community, once galvanized by the search, gradually shifts its focus. New stories take precedence, new faces emerge. The trails that Tom loved so dearly are once again filled with hikers, each step erasing the traces of past tragedies. The town's annual festival goes on, the laughter and music a poignant contrast to the silence Emily feels within. In the quiet moments, Emily revisits their memories, poring over old photographs, reading and rereading Tom's trail journals. She clings to the belief that somewhere, somehow, there is an answer. Determined not to let Tom's story fade, she starts a blog, sharing his adventures and the mystery of his disappearance with a wider audience, hoping to reach someone who might hold the missing piece of the puzzle. Despite the passage of time, Mills remains committed. He reviews the case periodically, nagged by the belief that the key has always been there, just out of reach. Each time he revisits the files, he is haunted by the same question: who is the man in the cap? Years pass, and the investigation slips further from the public eye. But Emily and Mills, bound by their shared mission, refuse to relinquish their search. They delve into private investigations, hiring experts, exploring new theories, always chasing the elusive truth. Emily's blog gains traction, attracting a small but dedicated following. It becomes a space for others with missing loved ones to share their stories, a community formed in the shadow of shared grief and hope. Her posts are raw, filled with the pain of absence, but also with a determination that resonates with her readers. One evening, as Emily sits at her computer, she receives a message from a user with an unfamiliar name. Its contents are brief but electrifying. "I think I know who the man in the cap is. Can we talk?" With her heart pounding, Emily responds, setting up a call. As she waits, anticipation and fear coil together, a tight knot in her chest. Could this finally be the lead they've been searching for? The call comes through. The voice on the other end is cautious, almost apologetic. "I'm not sure if this will help," they begin, "but I knew a man who fits the description. He was different, always on the trails, always watching. I lost touch with him years ago, but I think he might have had a connection to Tom." The conversation unfolds, each word a potential breakthrough, each pause a reminder of the fragility of hope. As Emily listens, the pieces start to align, forming a picture that is both revealing and unsettling. What secrets lie in the shadows of the trails Tom loved? And who truly is the man in the cap, the phantom who haunts their memories and dreams? As Emily thanks the caller, she knows they are closer than ever to the truth. But what they will find once they uncover it remains a mystery that both exhilarates and terrifies her. Emily ends the call, her mind racing with possibilities. This new lead, though tenuous, reignites a spark of hope that had been dwindling over the years. It feels like a lifeline thrown into the vast, unyielding sea of uncertainty they've been navigating since Tom disappeared. The years have not been kind. Time, once a friend, has turned into an adversary, each passing day a reminder of Tom's absence and the questions that remain unanswered. The early days of the investigation were filled with frantic energy, search parties, media coverage, and an outpouring of community support. But as weeks turned into months and months into years, the fervor faded. New stories emerged, new tragedies took the spotlight, and Tom's disappearance became another unsolved mystery, gathering dust in the annals of unsolved cases. For Tom's family, however, time has only deepened the wound. Their lives have become a delicate balance between moving forward and holding on. Birthdays, holidays, and family gatherings are marked by the haunting presence of his empty chair, a symbol of their loss. Emily, now the reluctant custodian of their shared hope, dedicates herself to the cause with unwavering resolve. Their private investigations, though costly and often fruitless, have kept them afloat, each new theory a buoy in the sea of despair. They've hired private detectives, consulted psychics, and chased countless leads, each one a thread in the tapestry of their relentless pursuit for closure. Yet, despite their efforts, the mystery remains, an unyielding shadow cast over their lives. The community, once abuzz with speculation and support, has largely moved on. New families have moved into the neighborhood, unaware of the ghost that lingers in their midst. The trails, once a symbol of camaraderie and adventure, have become a silent testament to Tom's absence. Hikers tread their paths, oblivious to the story etched into the landscape around them. Emily's blog has become a sanctuary, a digital monument to her brother's life and the ongoing search for truth. It is here that she connects with others who understand the unique agony of not knowing, their stories weaving a tapestry of shared pain and resilience. The blog's following, though small, is fiercely loyal, each member a beacon of support in their darkest hours. As the years stretch on, Emily finds solace in the connections she has made, each story a reminder that they are not alone in their struggle. Yet the weight of time presses heavily upon her, the fear that they may never find answers lurking at the edges of her consciousness. But now, with this new lead, there is a flicker of something akin to hope. The man in the cap, a figure that has haunted their collective consciousness, could hold the key to unraveling the mystery. Emily knows they must tread carefully, for the line between hope and despair is perilously thin. As she prepares to share the news with her family, Emily wonders what they will uncover. The road ahead is fraught with uncertainty, but for the first time in years, it is illuminated by the glimmer of possibility. What secrets lie in the shadows of the trails Tom loved? And who truly is the man in the cap? The answers may yet be within reach, but the journey to uncover them will test the limits of their endurance, their faith, and their hope. As Emily closes her laptop, her heart beats with a renewed sense of purpose. The silence of the years may have been long, but it has not broken them. Together, they will forge ahead into the unknown, determined to uncover the truth that has eluded them for so long. The years without answers weigh heavily on Emily and her family, each passing day a relentless reminder of Tom's absence. Their lives, once filled with laughter and shared adventures, have become a tapestry woven with threads of longing and unspoken grief. The small Colorado town, once bustling with hikers and tourists, gradually returns to its routine, the whispers of Tom's disappearance fading into the background of everyday life. Yet for Emily, the silence is deafening. Her blog, a digital diary of hope and despair, becomes a focal point for the family's private investigation. Through it, she reaches out to retired detectives, amateur sleuths, and anyone who might offer a fresh perspective on Tom's case. They pore over every detail, scrutinizing photographs and re-examining the scant evidence left behind. Each new theory rekindles their hope, only to be dashed by the harsh reality of dead ends. Emily's parents, aging and weary, struggle with the passage of time. Her father retreats into his work, burying his pain beneath layers of routine. Her mother, once vibrant and full of life, now moves through her days with a quiet determination. They find solace in their memories of Tom. The stories they tell each other are balm for their aching hearts. The community, while supportive in the immediate aftermath of Tom's disappearance, eventually moves on. New stories capture the town's attention, new faces walk the trails Tom once knew so well. But there are those who remember, who carry his story in their hearts. Old friends who gather each year to hike one of Tom's favorite trails in his honor, their footsteps a silent tribute to a friend lost but not forgotten. Emily clings to the hope that one day someone will come forward with the information they so desperately need. Her blog's following, though small, remains a steadfast community. They share their own stories of loss and resilience, creating a network of empathy and understanding. It is in this virtual space that Emily finds the strength to continue her quest for answers. And then, after years of stagnation, a message arrives. It is from a woman who claims to have seen the man in the cap in another part of the country. She describes him in detail, his distinctive features matching the description that has haunted their investigation for so long. Emily's heart races as she reads the message, the familiar mix of hope and fear rising within her. Could this be the lead they've been waiting for? The possibility is electrifying, yet the prospect of disappointment looms large. Emily knows that they must pursue this new avenue, no matter the cost. The silence of the years has been long, but it has only strengthened their resolve. Together they will follow this thread wherever it may lead, in their unending search for the truth. Emily stares at her computer screen, the words of the message blurring as tears well up in her eyes. It's been over a decade since Tom vanished, and though time has dulled the edges of her grief, the longing for answers has never faded. She quickly dials the number attached to the email, her fingers trembling with a mix of anticipation and dread. The phone rings and each tone feels like an eternity. Finally, a voice answers, hesitant but clear. Emily introduces herself, her voice steady yet laced with the weight of the years. The woman on the other end, Sandra, explains that she was on a hiking trip in the Smoky Mountains when she saw him. She describes the man in the cap, his weathered face and piercing eyes, the way he seemed to blend into the background yet stood out to her as eerily familiar. As Sandra recounts her story, Emily listens intently, her mind racing with questions. Could this truly be the same man who was last seen in the vicinity of her father's disappearance? The possibility seems almost too incredible to fathom. Yet, the details align. The cap, the distinct scar on his cheek, the way he lingered near the trailhead before vanishing into the forest. Emily thanks Sandra, her voice barely concealing the rush of emotions coursing through her. She knows this information needs to be handled delicately, aware of the false leads and dead ends that have plagued their investigation in the past. Still, the prospect of progress, of finally breaking the silence, is a beacon of hope. She calls her mother next, the familiar cadence of her voice a comfort amidst the uncertainty. Together they discuss the implications of Sandra's sighting, weighing the risks and rewards of pursuing this new lead. Her mother, once weary from years of disappointment, now sounds invigorated, as if the news has stirred something dormant within her. As they talk, Emily recalls the box of old files and maps stored in the attic, relics of their exhaustive search efforts. She retrieves them, spreading the contents across the living room floor, their worn edges a testament to her family's tireless pursuit of the truth. She traces the routes with her fingers, imagining her father's last steps, the paths he might have taken, the places he might have sought refuge. Meanwhile, the community that once rallied around Tom's disappearance has evolved, reshaped by time and new narratives. The annual hikes in his honor continue, a somber reminder of a friend who never returned. Yet, the fervor that once fueled the search has waned, replaced by new stories, new faces. But for Emily, this fresh lead reignites a fire that had never truly extinguished. She drafts a plan, a meticulous roadmap of actions to take, people to contact, and places to visit. The silence that once enveloped them, a suffocating cloak of uncertainty, now feels like the calm before a storm of revelation. Emily knows that they are on the cusp of something significant, the years of patience and perseverance coalescing into this moment. The truth, elusive yet tantalizingly close, beckons them forward. As Emily gazes out the window, the mountains in the distance shrouded in mist, she feels a renewed sense of determination. The long silence is ending. The years of questions and heartache may finally find their resolution, and she is ready, whatever the outcome, to face what lies ahead. As Emily sits surrounded by the artifacts of her father's life and disappearance, her phone buzzes with a notification. It's an email from a name she doesn't recognize, but the subject line reads, "New hope for Tom's case." Her heart races as she opens the message, which is from a detective named Mark Holloway, recently transferred to the cold case unit in Denver. Detective Holloway introduces himself as someone who has a personal interest in outdoor mysteries and unsolved disappearances. He explains that he's been reviewing old cases, and Tom's story struck a chord. Emily is cautious, yet there's something about the detective's words, his empathy, his determination, that resonates with her. In a leap of faith, she calls him. Holloway answers almost immediately, his voice steady and reassuring. He explains that advancements in forensic technology, specifically genetic genealogy, could be the key to unlocking new information from old evidence. He describes how this method has solved numerous cold cases by linking DNA from crime scenes to family members who have voluntarily submitted their DNA to genealogy databases. Emily listens intently, her mind racing with possibilities. Holloway is candid about the challenges. They would need to obtain DNA from any preserved items related to Tom's disappearance, and privacy concerns could complicate matters. Yet he is optimistic, convinced that even a small breakthrough could lead them to new leads or people who might have crossed paths with her father that fateful day. Emily agrees to meet with Holloway, inspired by his conviction and the notion that Tom's case might finally see progress. Before they hang up, Holloway assures her that he'll handle the case with the sensitivity and urgency it deserves. The next day, Emily meets Holloway at a small coffee shop, their conversation weaving through the years of uncertainty and the newfound hope that forensic advancements offer. Holloway shares stories of other cases solved through genetic genealogy, his passion for justice shining through every word. As they discuss logistics, Holloway mentions a recent development, a deathbed confession that may be connected to Tom's disappearance. An anonymous tip led him to the confession, which hinted at a group of hikers who had encountered someone matching Tom's description, but were too scared to come forward at the time. The confession was vague, but it mentioned a secluded area known for its treacherous terrain and hidden caves. Emily's mind races with the implications. Her father's last adventure, once a story of solitude and mystery, is now unfolding into a complex tapestry of human interactions and hidden truths. The possibility that people knew something all along is both infuriating and exhilarating. As they part ways, Holloway reassures Emily that he will pursue every lead, every scrap of information, with the tenacity of a man driven by purpose. Emily, invigorated by the detective's dedication and the promise of new technology, feels the weight of the years lift ever so slightly. The mountains, once silent witnesses to her father's fate, now seem to whisper of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And as Emily steps into the brisk morning air, She knows that the path to truth is fraught with uncertainties, but also with the promise of resolution. The echoes of the past are beginning to speak, and Emily is ready to listen. The coffee shop's door swings shut behind Emily, but her mind remains open to the possibilities. As she walks down the bustling street, her thoughts are consumed by the potential revelations that Holloway hinted at. A deathbed confession, a new detective, and a whisper of a hidden truth. The convergence of these elements fills her with a cautious optimism. Back at her apartment, Emily spreads out the old maps and photographs across her dining table. Her father's smiling face stares back at her from one of the pictures, his eyes twinkling with the thrill of adventure. She traces the lines of the trails he loved so dearly, each one a testament to his passion and resilience. The following days blur into a flurry of activity. Holloway, true to his word, keeps Emily updated on every development. He dives into the depths of the confession, piecing together the fragmented story of the hikers who might hold the key to Tom's disappearance. Their fear, once a barrier, now seems like a crack through which light might emerge. Meanwhile, Emily delves into the world of genetic genealogy, fascinated by the power it holds. Holloway explains how this new forensic technology has transformed cold cases, solving mysteries that once seemed insurmountable. The prospect of using DNA to uncover hidden connections, to link the past with the present, fills Emily with a renewed sense of purpose. In a small, cluttered office, Holloway sits across from a technician who explains the process in meticulous detail. The old evidence, meticulously collected but once deemed inconclusive, now holds a promise. The technician outlines how they will extract and analyze the DNA, comparing it against vast databases, searching for matches that could unravel the tangled threads of the past. As Holloway listens, he recalls the stories of other cases where genetic genealogy had turned the tide. It's a beacon of hope in the murky waters of unsolved mysteries. He knows that this technology is more than just a tool, it's a bridge to the truth. Back at her apartment, Emily receives a call from Holloway. His voice carries a hint of excitement, tempered by the gravity of the situation. The DNA results are in progress, he tells her, and there's a chance they might have a match soon. Her heart races at the thought, a mix of fear and anticipation coursing through her veins. She hangs up, her mind spinning with possibilities. The faces of the hikers, once anonymous, now loom large in her imagination. Who were they, and why had they remained silent? What secrets did they carry, and how did they intersect with her father's fate? As the days pass, Emily and Holloway keep the lines of communication open. Each update brings them closer to an answer, each discovery a step closer to justice. The mountains, with their imposing peaks and hidden valleys, seem to watch over their progress, silent witnesses to the unfolding drama. And then, a breakthrough. Holloway calls with news that sends a shiver down Emily's spine. The DNA analysis has revealed a familial match, a connection that ties the anonymous hikers to a well-known family in the area. The revelation opens a new chapter in their investigation, one that promises to unravel the mystery that has haunted Emily for so long. As Emily contemplates this new information, she knows that the journey is far from over. The truth is within reach, but so too are the challenges of confronting the past. With Holloway by her side and the power of science on their side, she steels herself for what lies ahead. The past is beginning to speak, and Emily is ready to listen to its every word. The revelation of a familial match is a seismic shift in the investigation, a tremor that shakes the foundation of everything Emily thought she knew. Holloway's voice echoes in her mind, a mix of cautious optimism and the weight of their shared responsibility. The name connected to the DNA is not just any family, but one with deep roots and tangled branches in the very community that Emily's father, a veteran hiker, loved so dearly. As Emily sits at her kitchen table, the evening light casting long shadows across the room, she sifts through a stack of old photographs and newspaper clippings. Her father's face smiles back at her from the past, a stark reminder of the man who once traversed these very trails with such unyielding spirit. Among these mementos, a single clipping catches her eye. A local news article about a family known for their involvement in land conservation efforts. The name matches the DNA findings. Holloway, ever the diligent detective, has already begun digging. The family in question, the Harringtons, are pillars of the community. Known for their philanthropic endeavors and environmental advocacy, they are respected, even revered, in the circles her father once moved. The discovery that their DNA links them to the mysterious hikers is both shocking and perplexing. In their next call, Holloway's tone is steady, though Emily can sense the storm of thoughts swirling beneath his calm exterior. He lays out the plan. They need to approach the Harringtons with tact and precision to understand how their family is connected to the hikers, and by extension, to her father's disappearance. It's a delicate web they must navigate, with each strand potentially leading to answers, or more questions. As they prepare for this next step, Emily's mind returns to the mountains, those silent sentinels that have seen more than they will ever reveal. She wonders what truths they hold, what secrets lie buried beneath their rocky surfaces. The possibility that the Harringtons might hold the key to unlocking this mystery fills her with both hope and trepidation. A few days later, Holloway and Emily find themselves standing before the Harrington estate, its grandeur a testament to generations of wealth and influence. The air is thick with anticipation as they are ushered inside, where they are met by Margaret Harrington, the matriarch of the family. Her presence is commanding, her gaze sharp and assessing. As Holloway begins to explain the purpose of their visit, Emily watches Margaret closely. The older woman's expression shifts from curiosity to a guarded reserve, as if weighing the implications of their words. When Holloway mentions the DNA match, a flicker of something, recognition perhaps, crosses her features. Margaret, after a moment of silence, nods slowly. She speaks of family gatherings of distant relatives who would occasionally visit, their lives intersecting ever so briefly with her own. Her voice, though steady, carries an undertone of something unspoken, a history not fully revealed. Emily senses a breakthrough is near, a truth that has been long buried now poised to surface. But as Margaret continues, speaking of a particular cousin who had always been a bit of a wanderer, a chill runs down Emily's spine. Could this cousin be one of the anonymous hikers? And if so, what role did he play in her father's vanishing? The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, each revelation a step closer to the heart of the mystery. But with each answer comes a new question, a deeper layer to uncover. As Emily and Holloway leave the Harrington estate, the weight of the past presses heavily upon them. The trail they follow is fraught with uncertainty, yet it is one they must pursue to its end. The truth is out there waiting to be uncovered, and Emily is determined to find it no matter where it leads. As Emily and Holloway drive away from the Harrington estate, the gravity of their discovery hangs in the air. Holloway, his eyes fixed on the road, breaks the silence. Margaret's cousin. It's a lead, but we need more. We need to connect him directly to your father, Emily. Emily nods, her mind racing. Her father's love for hiking had always been a solitary pursuit, yet there was something about the cousin's description that resonated with the stories her father used to tell. A fellow wanderer. Could they have crossed paths more than once? The next day, Holloway and Emily returned to the lab where the DNA analysis was first conducted. Dr. Patel, a seasoned forensic scientist, greets them with a knowing smile, aware that this case has become more than just another file on her desk. "We've been running additional tests," Dr. Patel says, her voice tinged with excitement. "I think we might have something." Emily's heart skips a beat as she leans in, eager for any scrap of information. Dr. Patel explains that they've managed to trace the DNA profile to a specific region, an area in the Rockies known for its rugged trails and isolated paths. It was a place her father had often mentioned, a favorite spot for seasoned hikers. Holloway, ever the skeptic, raises an eyebrow. "How does this help us find the cousin?" Dr. Patel continues, her eyes alight with the thrill of discovery. "We've also cross-referenced the DNA with genealogy databases. It wasn't easy, but we've found a match, a second cousin once removed. His name is Robert Harrington, a reclusive figure who withdrew from the family years ago." Emily feels a jolt of recognition. Robert. Her father had mentioned a Robert in passing, describing him as a kindred spirit, a fellow adventurer who shared his passion for the trails. But they had lost touch, and Robert had become little more than a ghostly figure in her father's stories. Holloway leans back, processing the information. If Robert was on those trails, he might have been one of the last people to see your father. Emily's mind races as she grapples with the implications. Could Robert have been involved in her father's disappearance? Or was he simply another piece of the puzzle, an unwitting participant in a larger mystery? Dr. Patel interrupts her thoughts, her voice firm. We need to find Robert and talk to him. His connection to your father is too significant to ignore. Emily agrees, her resolve hardening. The breakthrough they've been waiting for is within reach, and she won't stop until she uncovers the truth. Holloway nods, determination etched on his face. Let's get moving. The clock is ticking and we need to bring Robert in. As they leave the lab, a sense of urgency propels them forward. The pieces are aligning, the shadows of the past beginning to give way to the light of truth. Yet, as they embark on this new chapter, they are acutely aware that the answers they seek may not be what they expect. The road ahead is fraught with danger, but Emily is undeterred. She will face whatever comes, driven by the memory of her father and the promise of justice that now feels tantalizingly close. Driving through the narrow, winding roads of the Colorado mountains, Emily's heart pounded with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Holloway, seated beside her, was deep in thought, his eyes scanning the road ahead but his mind clearly on the task at hand. The weight of the moment hung heavily in the air, each passing mile a step closer to uncovering the truth. The address they had for Robert Harrington was a secluded cabin nestled at the edge of a dense forest, a place steeped in isolation and mystery. As they approached, the cabin came into view. Weathered by time and the elements, it stood like a sentinel watching over the silent woods. Emily parked the car and they stepped out, the crisp mountain air biting against their skin. Every sound seemed magnified, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the whisper of the wind through the pines. Holloway's voice broke the tension, low and measured. We need to be cautious, we don't know what we're walking into. Emily nodded, her resolve firm. They approached the cabin, each step deliberate, the gravity of their mission clear. Holloway knocked on the door, the sound echoing in the stillness. Moments stretched into eternity before they heard movement inside. The door creaked open, revealing Robert Harrington. His appearance was unkempt, a man who had clearly spent more time with nature than with people. His eyes were sharp, yet guarded, as they flicked between Emily and Holloway. What do you want? Robert's voice was gruff, but not unkind. Holloway spoke first, his tone authoritative yet respectful. We're investigating the disappearance of Emily's father. We believe you may have information that could help us. Robert's face changed, a flicker of recognition followed by a shadow of something more complex. He stepped aside, gesturing for them to enter. Inside, the cabin was sparse but filled with an array of hiking memorabilia, maps, and photographs of trails conquered. Emily felt a pang of nostalgia at the sight, the cabin an echo of her father's own love for the trails. Robert motioned for them to sit, his demeanor shifting from defensive to contemplative. I knew your father, he began, his voice softer now. We hiked together many times. He was a good man, the best I've ever known. Emily's eyes brimmed with emotion, her father's image vivid in her mind. What happened, Robert? She asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. Robert hesitated, the weight of years etched into his features. We parted ways after our last hike. He wanted to take a different path, one he said would be his last adventure. I didn't see him again after that day. Holloway leaned forward, the urgency in his voice palpable. Did you notice anything unusual, anyone following you? Robert shook his head slowly. No, nothing out of the ordinary. But there was someone else on the trail earlier, a man keeping his distance. I didn't think much of it at the time. Emily's pulse quickened, the pieces of the puzzle beginning to connect. Do you remember what he looked like? Anything at all? Robert closed his eyes, searching his memory. Tall, broad-shouldered, a scar on his cheek. He was wearing a hat, kept his head down. Holloway exchanged a glance with Emily, his expression intense. This was the lead they needed. The description was enough to build a composite to cross-reference with known associates or suspects. Emily's determination hardened into resolve. Thank you, Robert. You've given us a direction, a chance to find out what really happened. Robert nodded, a mixture of relief and sorrow in his eyes. I hope you find him. Your father deserves to be at peace. As they left the cabin, the weight of the breakthrough settled over them. They had a face, a shadowy figure now brought into the light. Yet, with each answer came more questions, the path ahead still shrouded in uncertainty. Back in the car, Holloway's voice was a quiet rumble. We need to act fast. This man could be our killer, and he knows we're getting close. Emily's gaze was fixed on the road ahead, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The hunt was on, and she was prepared to see it through to the very end, no matter the cost. The engine hummed softly as they drove back to the station, the tension between Emily and Holloway almost palpable. The composite sketch was already being generated, a digital artist working from Robert's description. Emily's phone buzzed with updates, each message a step closer to unveiling the mystery. In the dimly lit office, the image finally appeared on the computer screen. A face both familiar and elusive. The scar on the cheek was distinctive, a detail that could unlock countless doors. Holloway tapped the keyboard, sending the sketch into databases, searching for a match. Minutes stretched into hours, the rhythmic tapping of keys the only sound breaking the silence. Emily leaned over Holloway's shoulder, her breath held tight with anticipation. And then, beep. The screen blinked, highlighting a match. They exchanged a glance, the weight of the moment sinking in. There it was, a name, a history, a person. Gerald Benson, an ex-military man with a checkered past, noted for his expertise in navigation and survival. But there was more, a series of accusations, never proven but always whispered, of aggression and violence. Emily's heart raced as she read through the file. This was their man, the shadow on the trail, the ghost who had haunted her father's last steps. Holloway stood, grabbing his coat with a renewed sense of urgency. They had a suspect, and time was of the essence. The phone rang, cutting through the tension. Emily answered, her voice steady but edged with anticipation. It was the forensic analyst, the voice on the other end, crackling with excitement. We found something, Emily. DNA from the scene, a perfect match to Benson. He's been hiding in plain sight all along. Emily's mind raced, the pieces clicking together with a sudden clarity. Benson had been there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. But why? What had driven him to target her father? The questions burned in her mind as they prepared to confront the man who had eluded them for so long. As they left the office, the air was thick with the promise of resolution. Every step felt heavy with the burden of what lay ahead. Holloway's voice was a low murmur, the determination in his words unyielding. We're close, Emily. We're going to bring him to justice. The night was dark and cold, the wind whipping around them as they headed toward Benson's last known address. Emily's resolve was like steel, her mind focused on the task ahead, but beneath it all a flicker of doubt lingered, a small voice questioning what they would find when they finally came face to face with the man behind the scar. As they approached the old cabin, a silhouette moved inside, casting long shadows across the walls. Emily's breath caught in her throat, the moment of truth standing on the edge of reality. The end was near, but the journey was not yet complete. The door creaked open, the threshold between past and future now crossed. The confrontation awaited, the truth ready to be unveiled. And as Emily stepped inside, the air was charged with the unspoken promise of what was to come, the story of her father's last adventure finally nearing its end. The cabin was eerily silent, the shadows flickering like restless ghosts. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the words she had rehearsed in her mind. Holloway was by her side, a steady presence in the looming uncertainty. Inside, the dim light revealed Benson, sitting in an old armchair, his eyes fixed on them with a calmness that seemed almost serene. His demeanor was disarming, a stark contrast to the mounting tension. Here was a man who had been a fixture in their community, a volunteer at the local soup kitchen, known for his gentle smile and kind words. Yet beneath that facade lay a darkness they had only just begun to uncover. The DNA evidence was irrefutable. Benson was the link, the invisible thread tying together the mystery of her father's disappearance. Benson, Emily's voice cut through the silence, unwavering despite the storm of emotions within her. "We know it was you." For a moment, there was no reaction. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, Benson raised his head, a faint smile playing on his lips. There was something unsettling in his gaze, a hint of satisfaction that sent chills down her spine. "You always were a clever one, Emily," he said, his voice smooth, almost paternal. "But I never expected you to unravel this." Holloway stepped forward, his presence a wall of determination. "Why, Benson? Why target a man like Thomas?" Benson's eyes shifted, a shadow of something deeper flickering across his features, a lifetime of secrets etched into the lines of his face. "It wasn't meant to be this way," he began, his voice suddenly heavy, laden with years of hidden truths. "Thomas was a good man, but he knew too much." Emily's mind raced, the implications of his words cascading through her thoughts. Knew too much about what? Benson leaned back, his gaze now distant, as if reminiscing a past he had long tried to bury. "About me, about the things I did at before," he admitted, his voice dropping to a whisper. The pieces began to fall into place. Her father had stumbled upon something Benson had kept hidden for decades. A past life, perhaps, or a crime that had never come to light. "You were in the military," Emily pressed, the truth dawning like a cold dawn. "Did something happen there?" Benson nodded, his facade finally crumbling. "There are things you never leave behind, Emily. Shadows that follow you no matter how far you run." The confession hung in the air, a revelation that cast their understanding into sharp relief. The man before them was both victim and villain, trapped by the ghosts of his past and the choices he had made. Holloway moved to place handcuffs on Benson, the finality of the gesture echoing in the room. "It's over, Benson." As they led him out into the night, the reality of the moment settled around them. The man who had haunted their thoughts and dreams was no longer a phantom in the shadows, but a real person, flawed and human. Emily watched as Benson was placed in the patrol car, her heart heavy with the weight of closure. The truth was out, but the story was not yet over. There were still answers to be sought, justice to be served, and a father's legacy to honor. As the car pulled away, taking Benson to face the consequences of his actions, Emily felt a sense of resolution mingled with the sorrow of what had been lost. The journey was nearly complete, the path to understanding now clear. But the final chapter was still to come, a story yet untold, waiting to be unveiled. The cold morning light filtered through the small window of the interrogation room, casting a stark contrast on Benson's weary face. He sat at the table, hands cuffed, eyes downcast as Detective Holloway and Emily entered. The air was tense with anticipation, the room heavy with the expectation of truth. "Benson," Holloway began, his voice steady but firm, "we need to understand how it all unfolded. What happened that day on the trail?" Benson's eyes flickered up, meeting Holloway's with a mixture of defiance and resignation. "He stumbled upon something he wasn't supposed to see," he said, his voice barely audible. "Old caches, reminders of a life I tried to forget." Emily leaned forward, her heart pounding. "And you made sure he couldn't tell anyone?" A pained expression crossed Benson's face. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he confessed, his voice cracking. "We argued. He was persistent, said he'd report it. I panicked." The room fell silent, the weight of the confession hanging between them. Benson's shoulders slumped, as if the admission had drained the last of his strength. "Was it worth it?" Emily's voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it carried the full force of her pain and loss. Benson shook his head slowly. "No, nothing ever is in the end." As the reality of Benson's words settled in, Holloway stepped out, leaving Emily alone with the man who had irrevocably altered her life. She searched his face for answers, for some sign of remorse or understanding. "I thought I was protecting something," Benson murmured almost to himself, "but all I did was destroy." The trial was swift, the evidence undeniable. Benson pleaded guilty, sparing the family the anguish of reliving every detail in court. The sentence was life without parole, a fitting end for a man who had spent decades running from the shadows of his past. In the aftermath, the community grappled with the revelation. The veteran hiker, the beloved adventurer whose disappearance had sparked so much grief and confusion, was finally at rest. His legacy, tarnished by the manner of his death, was now a cautionary tale of trust and misjudgment. Emily stood before a small gathering at a memorial service, her father's picture framed by candles and flowers. She spoke of his love for the trails, his unwavering spirit, and the lessons he had taught her. He believed in the goodness of people, she said, her voice strong despite the tears. And he would want us to remember that even in the darkest moments, there's a path back to the light. As she stepped down, the crowd erupted in applause, a tribute to a man whose life had touched so many. In that moment, Emily felt a sense of peace, knowing that her father's story had found its rightful place in the world. In the quiet months that followed, the community began to heal. The trails, once marked by sadness, became a symbol of resilience and hope, a reminder that every journey, no matter how fraught, has the potential for redemption. Emily often returned to those paths, finding solace in the familiar rhythm of nature. She carried her father's memory with her, a guiding light in her own adventures. Though justice had been served, it was this legacy of love and perseverance that would endure, a testament to the man who had lived life with an open heart and a fearless spirit. The final chapter, it seemed, was not one of endings, but of beginnings. A new trail to follow, a new story to tell.